Hello everyone, my name is Albert. Today I'm going to talk about the topic of importing US pork. At first, I'm going to talk about the reason why I choose this topic. As everyone knows, last August, our President Tsai Ing-wen has announced that our country are going to ease the importing of US pork. But after hearing this news, many people are started to worry about the decision and even gathered against it, like the local pig farmers, KMT party, or even the normal people like you and me. And hearing the news about the decision of governments, I started to feel curious because, as I know, our country has imported the US pork since very early. But at that time, I really don't know the truly date when we import the US pork. So to find out the true date about the import of US pork, I do some research and find out our country has imported the US pork since 2005. So after getting these answers, I started to think and feel much more curious because our country has imported US pork since so early and so for many years. So why people are so against about these decisions and gather to against it? So in order to find out, I choose this topic and do some research and find some data on the website, and I find out there's two main reasons why so many people are against about the importing US pork. And now I'm going to tell the first reason. The first is that the price of the importing US pork. Like everyone knows, importing US pork is much more cheaper than the Taiwan local pork. But why? Because American has a much more land than the Taiwan. It's mainly equal to 267 Taiwan's land. So of course, American pig farmers has much more land to feed and keep their pigs than the Taiwanese pig farmers. So of course, the importing US pork price is much more cheaper than the local pork. And on the research it says the US pork price is mainly half of the local pork price. So the local pork farmers feel very afraid and scared about if the US pork came into Taiwan, and it may affect the market of the pork, and the customers in Taiwan may change their ideas about buying the pork because of the much more cheaper price of the US pork, so they may choose it and instead to buy the local one. But after I do the research, I find out it may not affect so serious on our local pork price. But why? Because like most of the Taiwanese, like our family too, we like to buy the slaughtered and fresh pork or meat in some maybe local market or in supermarket instead to buy the frozen ones from abroad or other countries, because even if you are a fresh pork from the other country, you have to still be transported by airplane or the ship to Taiwan. But as the pork come here, it may not be as fresh as the local pig, because the local pig can get to the market so easily, and you can get the pork fresh right away. So the Taiwanese most of Taiwanese will choose to buy the local pork instead of the frozen one, even if the US pork price maybe is much more higher than the local ones, but I think most of the Taiwanese will still choose the local ones. So I think for the local pig farmers it's not a really serious problem to face, and they can don't have to relax so dramatically. But the second reason I think is the most important reason why so many people against it, like community party or even the common people, normal people like you and me, because also like community even gather the people to against the decision based on the recto ban. And what's recto ban? Is kind of the food active. And first is the medicine of asthma. But after people find out that the rectoban can use to make the animals grow faster and bigger, they started to use it as a food active and to feed the pig or other animals. So that's the rather reason why the US pork can be so cheap than the other pork, is despite the land they can keep their pigs, because they use the rectoban to make the pig faster and bigger, so the price of the pork can be much more lower than the other pork from the other countries. But as everyone concerns, rectoban may have some healthy concerns, so most of the country, even China, have banned the rectoban's meats or other products to their countries. But our government has announced that the amount of the rectoban in the pork is very safe, and it may not hurt or affect our human bodies or our health. But even the government says about the rectoban may not affect our human bodies. Many people in our society still feel scared or afraid because they didn't know the government helped the right thing or not. So most of people still feel scared and want to disagree these decisions. Of course, if you take a rectoban in the large amounts at one time, you may feel dizzy, maybe throw out, or maybe feel sick. But it's in the case of you take a large amounts of the rectoban in one time. But for normal people, you hardly can get so much rectoban product in one time. So you don't really need to be concerned. But there's another question: do we really need to let the other country import the food to our countries to let our countries have a relationship with other countries? I think yes, because the decisions government made is not totally wrong, because our country is mainly relies on the transportation with other countries like American, Japan, even China. So I think sometimes we need to accept the concept of the other country that need to access to import something. So it may help us improve our standard of the international, because as everybody knows, in international our country may not just seen as a normal country because some reason like China's or other reason. So it's very important that we have some communication with others and some relationship. So I think importing US pork is the right decision, because the government didn't force our people to buy the US pork like in law or what, we can choose by ourselves. If you want to choose to buy the much more cheaper one and you don't really care about the rectal ban of the US pork, and you can just buy it because it's kind of free. But if you want to support our local pig farmer, or even you have some health, maybe feel the rectal ban may have some health problems, and you can just choose the local one. Even you have to spend much more money, but you can definitely have the health. You can avoid the health problems. So I think above this about these things, I think the importing US pork is the right decision for everyone, for our government, or even to our country. And thank you everyone. This is my speech.